Welcome, everybody. Sarah, what's up?
What's up? Before we jump into any topics, we have to cover the Super Bowl that's
Oh, is that
happening
is
this
that
weekend.
happening?
It's happening. My Eagles are in the Super Bowl
Are you an
rematch
Eagles
against the
fan?
Chiefs.
I didn't know that.
So that's the really big news this week, and what everyone should be focused on and caring about is the upcoming Super Bowl.
Yes, and also the halftime show, and if Kendrick is going to play the famous song that he's not supposed to play.
I could give two shits about the
All right,
halftime
let's
show.
move. Let's move on
More
from
thing of the
that.
game.
Let's move on from that. All right. So we had a few things that we wanted to talk about. I know you want to start it off with some the deep
There's
research
so much.
stuff.
I mean, I feel like we missed last week and possibly even the week before, so
Yeah,
we
well,
haven't
we had
talked.
some other guests. Also, I'll say that we had some other guests on. Will from Slow, I think he broke the record. I think that we had about 50,000 listeners from his episode, but they also cross promoted on their end, and also I did a automatic. I only tried to spend like an hour and a half on this a week. I did the automatic clip breakdown and I just like
Oh, that's a
put it on, yeah, Twitter, and yeah, we
nice.
had like 50,000 views, which
It
is
was
I
a
think a
good.
record.
I was sad I missed him, but I enjoyed listening to it. It was a good episode. So if
Yeah,
you
that
haven't heard that, you should definitely listen. It was really good.
yeah, it was great. But yeah, we did miss a lot of stuff. So you want to start us off on the deep seek stuff?
Yeah, so there's deep seek, not to be confused with deep research, and then also operator that I want to talk about. So I mean the deep seek stuff, I don't feel like that's all that interesting. Like China came out with their own version of Chat GPT.
Yeah,
I've played around with it. Like it to me, it's like they're all the same-ish. Like some do slightly better on some tasks than others. I think it became like big news because China spent a lot. They claim to have
they
spent a lot
claim
of
to.
money on
Yeah,
it. It's
yeah,
also free, which is cool. Like, so if you're not paying for like the upgraded version of ChatGPT,
yeah.
you can use DeepSeek for free. I've been like playing around with, using it for some things. Bunch of times it's timed out, like it's over capacity.
Yeah.
So if you like ask it to search the internet, it was like, sorry, this isn't available right now.
Yeah.
And so, it's fine. Like I don't think I'm not in the game of like, oh my God, they developed it for this much money versus this much. Just as an end user, like it's all the same shit. Uh,
Right.
so
Right.
fine to add as another tool in your toolkit. The thing I'm really excited about is all the new stuff from OpenAI. And so I did end up upgrading to the $200 a month plan,
Wow.
which gives you access to operator, and it also gives you access to deep research. And like these things have kind of blown my mind, especially deep research. So that's kind of what I wanted to spend some time talking about because I've been playing around with both of those.
Yeah, tell me about it. I haven't actually upgraded yet.
Okay, so it's definitely worth like 1 month of upgrading. We'll see how long I stay upgraded. So operator is cool. Like you um, can kind of give it a task to do, and then it logs in on a browser. And so it can use apps for you, and you can log it into like your HubSpot account or your Canva account,
Oh, that's cool.
Google Drive account. And so you can ask it to do something. And there's this like the reason I ended up upgrading was I saw this guy publish this demo. It's been making the rounds where he had operator message a bunch of people on Facebook Marketplace to try to get them to pay him to haul away their old piano. So it actually did set up a few appointments for him and it was pretty cool. It was a cool demo. And so I was like, let me try this for some of the tasks that I have to do. Um, so the one it was really good at was I told it to make me a dinner reservation for Super Bowl weekend because I'm going to go to the Super Bowl. I'll be in New Orleans. And it's like
All right.
a little tricky because it's like last minute. A lot of the good places are, you know, booked up. Um, and have no idea of what's good in New Orleans. So I wanted it to do some research of like, look at the Yelp rating, find something that's like kind of specific to New Orleans cuisine. Um, and it found me a place. The only time it pinged me was it needed my, like, off code for the open table reservation,
Wow.
um, and it made the reservation. It's like, "It's done, I'm booked at this place. We'll see if it's any good." It got decent ratings on Yelp.
Yeah.
The only annoying thing is it booked me at, like, 2 bar seats, so not a table,
Yeah.
and that's because, like, there was no table. I tried to edit it after, and, like, there was no table. But
Right.
it was kinda cool, it, like, took the initiative and just did that, it didn't
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll try it out this Saturday, we'll see how it is. Um, but then it was clear, like, it knew how to use OpenTable, like, that's
Mhm.
probably, like, the one that everyone tries, make me a dinner reservation. Um, but then I had it try to go into our HubSpot account and write a blog post. It couldn't
Yeah.
do that. It couldn't handle, like,
For really.
how to use HubSpot, it couldn't navigate the UI at all. I tried to have it make me, like, a design for, like, a market map in Canva. It couldn't figure out how to use Canva. It was, like,
Right.
totally dumbfounded. It, like, put one thing on a slide. So, it's clear that it works well for, like, probably a set of tools it's really
Yeah.
interested in using and not for all the others, but I can see, like,
See the
it's
vision.
it's gonna get there. It's obviously,
Yeah.
like, a beta thing now.
Yeah, 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 and just like the early models
Mhm.
of ChatGPT that were not very good, and everybody was like, "This thing sucks." It's going to get better and better and better. So that's really exciting to see. I haven't played around with it, but I do want to dig into a little bit about the deep seek stuff because I think
Oh,
that's actually a
you love
little.
China.
Yeah, I think that, no, not even the China aspect, but I think that that kinda shows you that, like, I think that, um, for us older I'll speak for myself, for me being in the industry for quite a while, it was like, I remember, like, the early days, it was just like it was pretty like Flickr, which is basically like you probably make Flickr like in like a weekend or something like that with some smart programmers or something like that. And that's sold for I don't know $20 million or something like that. And and um uh the what I think has changed is the level of, like, complexity of, like, what people actually want now. So, like, you now even see, like so DeepSeek was able to apparently create a similar type of model, which, there's also rumors they may have actually trained it off of ChatGPT, but they were able to make it for $6 million, which like I believe, I don't know, ChatGPT, I don't know, in the range of 5 to $10 billion that they have spent so far. And so you could kind of just see like that whatever you're building um is like now it's much more easier to build. And also I saw one of the Siki's tweet, our fellow podcaster on here.
Yes.
He said that all of the talk about AI companies going to $10 million ARR in less than a year after inception reminds me of the consumer social viral apps in the Facebook era. If someone can scale that quickly, it can it can and will be replicated that quickly. Traditional multiples do not apply, and I think that kind of reminds me, just like right now, it's like really easy to build like a company, and so like yes, you can go on to your favorite AI and you could go on to Cursor and you create like an app that works. And that just means that the bar for you, and we're talking to first time founders here, right? That's what typically our audience is, that you need to have like a leg up. Like it's not good enough for you to be able to know how to program, or you think you have like a unique idea or something like that, because like somebody can replicate it so much faster. If you get any traction at all, somebody's going to be able to, and that's
Yeah.
his whole tweet is that they'll be able to blow. Somebody else was going to come in, and then there. This is the same thing with DeepSeek. Somebody's came in, they came in at a lower cost, and yeah, I'm very bullish on OpenAI. I think they have a good head start still, even though how much money that they have spent on that. But like the bar has raised so high, it's no longer like I remember the days of the lean startup. So if anybody hasn't read that book or know that philosophy, it was all about like doing whatever you could and just getting like building like the smallest MVP of what you needed to, and getting user feedback and getting users on the product, and then iterating. I think those days are completely fucking gone. I think that the people that are going to like really succeed, and also we're looking at this from a venture perspective. We're not looking about this if you're going to build a company and you're going to sell for $1 million. We're talking about $100 million or $1 billion. I think that the level has just increased so much more. So I would say, and my advice for founders that are looking to build something is that you need to have some unique insight, hopefully in an area that nobody else is like paying attention to. And you kind of just need to like own that. Otherwise, like, if you are in a hot market, there's so much capital, there's so many tools, like even right now, there's so many engineers out there to hire. Like it's really going to be hard for you to create like a defensible company today versus like even 5 years ago.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think you always need a moat, right? Like, yes, it will become easier to engineer these things and for someone to catch up, but like if you have a moat of any sort, whether that's customers or users,
But what's a real moat today, Sarah? Like, what do you think?
I mean, I still think for like real humans, like you can develop a moat. Like there are things that I use every day, and it's not so easy for me to switch off of those things just because something better comes around. Like, I think about Stripe, for example. Like, our whole, platform is built on top of Stripe. And, you know, there may be other things that come around, but they'd have to be significantly better and cheaper to like
Yeah.
warrant us rebuilding our whole, you know, stack on top of
But
something we haven't
what I'm
started.
talking about is that if there was 2 stripes being built at the same time, right? Like you could conceivably today build like the equivalent of like if Stripe was getting started today, you'd have a lot more Stripe competitors, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's lots of kinds of moats, like, that's sort of what they said about, like, Uber, like, "Oh, but there could be a million different Ubers, and they could all, like" but at the
And
end
there
of the day,
was.
there's sorta like Uber and, I guess Lyft that have survived to this level, and now there's kinda new entrants in the market with Waymo, but, like, there's not there's not millions of like, it took a lot of work to get to where Uber is, and they built a lot of they built the network, they built the drivers, they built the brand equity, they built the government relations, like, someone could build the app, but it turns out it was a lot harder to get it to scale and to work everywhere than others assumed. So, like, I feel like it's yeah, you build some kind of small, simple app, sure, you don't have much of a moat and someone else could just build it, or SaaS tool that someone else could just replicate and offer at a lower price,
Right.
but most businesses have a lot more going on than that. And so, yeah, I think it's important for founders to think about what their moats are and hopefully there's more than one. There's like relationships, there's brand, there's,
Yeah.
network effects, there's all these things, but I don't think, having worked on the same company for 9 years, like it's hard. And a lot of people kind of underestimate what it takes to get to scale.
Well, to be clear, I was going to bring it back to both of our experiences in our domains. And like, I think that the advantage of the naive first time founder that knows a little bit how to code and doesn't um have a lot of they have a lot their risk tolerance is really high. I think that um uh that architect, I think, has a lower likelihood of being successful versus the people. And actually, this is what Will said from Slow. He said that he only will fund second or third time entrepreneurs now, that the bar has been raised so high that the people that are starting out early is just they really just don't, not to say that you should not start a company if you're a first time founder. I think personally, if it was me, I'd go work for a small startup and I'd learn and do all those things, and then I'd get my own unique perspective in some like unique industry or something like that. But there's just so many different especially in software. I think that there's just so much competition and it's just so hard right now. So like you being like like your story, like you obviously like you started this company out of a pain point that you had personally,
Mhm.
having kids, right? That's what I assume
Yes.
why you started. Yeah. And for me, I kind of got into this because I was an eBay power seller and shipping was fucking hard. And then I've been at this for, yeah, now it's like 12 years. I'm in the same industry. And I think that the winners are going to go to the ones there the same way that they are going to the open AIs of the world. So like
Mhm.
Sam Altman has created an amazing team of people that have been in like deep learning and machine learning for decades before it was like fashionable and everything like that. And they were able to assemble these amazing things and that's who you actually are competing against. So I think that the like going back to Siki's tweet around like you could build an AI company, get a $10 million in ARR, like that does not is not the same as it was like 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because it's so much easier to replicate that with the tools that you have today.
Yeah. I mean, the tool set is getting better and better. The other big announcement was deep research, which I've also been playing around with, and Siki also had a good tweet on deep research. Like that is truly mind-blowing. Um, I think I've sort of been getting a little bit sick of like ChatGPT and DeepSeek and all these, AIs because they're so like uh surface level. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
they're great for like helping you write and like edit something, but they're not really they can't go really deep, which deep research, it goes to another level. So I've tested it on a few queries and like asked it some questions, and the amount of reasoning it does is really next level from like a chat GPT. So I asked it to look at the school choice policies in every state, because this is something we're looking into. And one of the interesting things about like this notion of school choice is like it's not called the same thing everywhere, but
Hmm.
it's like, will states give you money to go to K through 12 schools that are not your assigned districted public school?
Hmm.
And if you ask like Chat GPT to give you information, they'll give you like kind of the surface policies in every state. They'll tell you like, 13 states support school choice. But in reality, there are like so many other kind of buckets of funding that you can tap into in all these states. And so many kind of laws and regulations around when you can go to other schools. And so it was really interesting because deep research found out that like in Wyoming, they don't have school choice, but they
Yeah.
effectively have school choice because they have these laws that let you use public funding to go to another school. Uh,
Right.
and so without telling it all of that and giving it that background, it figured out that like I would be interested in like kind of all these ways that you can effectively get school choice in Wyoming. Um, and I just thought that was like kind of mind blowing, a level of research beyond what uh, these other kind of AI chatbots do you, and a level of understanding and reasoning of like if I was interested in school choice, I'd actually be interested in like kind of all the legal loopholes in all these states that effectively get you the ability to choose your schools if you find out you fall into these different conditions and buckets. Um, so yeah, it's really good. I don't know that everyone has like enough things they're trying to research deeply to
Hmm.
get it
Hmm.
worth $200 a month for everyone, but certainly, like, if you are doing research or you're looking at,
Yeah, it's
you
totally
know,
worth it.
Siki's using it to research his daughter's medical condition and said in his tweet that it's
Amazing.
better than the 150K a year he was actually paying someone to look into these research papers. So
That is unbelievable.
it's, I think, really gonna allow people to kind of become experts in areas that, um, like these chat tools weren't quite getting you to that expert level. They were like a smart, executive assistant, and this is like your PhD researcher.
Yeah. Okay. You sold me.
Definitely upgrade, but I think
I'm gonna upgrade.
this is why, you know, like, everyone was like, "Oh, OpenAI is dead." DeepSeek came out, and then, like, immediately after, OpenAI publishes, like, deep research, and it's like, "Okay, like, there are levels to this." And I don't think this is like, "Oh, no one should start a company because anyone can then go replicate it with AI." Like, I
I
think
agree.
these things are all more challenging, and you can always take things to the next level and establish that moat that, another company can't replicate. But yeah, you shouldn't rest on your laurels and you shouldn't be too excited wherever you are because someone can come in and destroy you.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's easier than ever. But also like a reminder. So like John Doerr was on my board, and he was telling me that so for anybody who's as old as I am, that grew
Evan, I'm older than you. Evan.
grew up in the Alta Vista Yahoo age. Google was the actual number 16 search engine to launch. And so it's definitely not, you definitely do have I think that OpenAI has a really big advantage because I think that they've been working on it for just so many years that they have nobody else really has. But now you see like DeepSeek that they were able to replicate this. Maybe they were trained off of that, but um, anything could really happen, right? Like you could see somebody that all of a sudden you spend 8 years in this and they could just overcome you, or you like you just need to have like the best team and like a unique perspective on it, and you have to just be going hard at it and have some unique take on something, and just keep at it. I think that the overwhelming characteristic of like a founder is just like their relentlessness of like going after a problem, not giving up. I think that I've heard that from a lot of people who have reinvested in me, and maybe that's just because
You know
they
what I'm
reinvested
seeing
in
right
me.
now? Which is probably like an artifact of what you're describing is like I'm actually seeing a number of companies that are kind of stuck.
Yes, a
That are
lot.
like these old guard companies that
Yeah,
raised a bunch of money. They got to some kind of sizable revenue milestone, um, a few million in ARR, uh, and they're not profitable and they are just dead, because no one wants to fund that now. Like all these
yeah,
companies now
yeah,
are getting to profitability so much faster. They didn't have like those years of burning all this capital. And it's like, why would you not just fund the next version of this thing? Like, why would I fund this old one? So they're kind of stuck. Am I like, because a number of them in like kind of a relevant industry to Winnie have kind of crossed my desk as like,
yeah.
are you acquiring companies? Like, would you be
Right,
interested?
right.
But we can't take on anything with burn. And like, I
No,
think my advice to those folks is like, get your burn under control. Like, just get profitable at any cost, like any cost to your revenue. Don't do it gradually. Like, do it now. Show that you are a fully profitable business immediately, And then you have a chance, like, at least someone can roll you into their business that way.
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, I've seen too many of these do like, "Oh, we're getting to profitability," and it's not gonna work. You have to get profitable immediately because that's your competitive set. If you're going out to raise money or you're looking to be acquired, like, everyone else is profitable because they can be with just the way, you don't need to hire a PhD, you have deep research. Like, you can be profitable so much sooner.
Yeah, and I think that the companies that will suffer the most are the people that have not learned this lesson before. And I'm gonna throw YC under the bus again. I already tweeted at them and they already fucking hate me. So whatever. I think that the like raise as much as you can at the biggest valuation you possibly can and hire as many people as you can, which is typically like the YC philosophy. And now they have like what 300 plus companies per fucking batch. Like
Yeah.
it just doesn't work. And also I saw that they released all of the things they want people to be building in, and
Yeah.
that means that there's probably gonna be like a dozen companies in the same fucking batch that are actually competing
I mean,
against each
for
other.
them though, like, the model works, like, for YC. So I think that's just
But
something
we're
to
talking to founders here.
right, right. So,
We're
like,
not talking to YC.
don't confuse
It's smart for YC.
right.
I agree.
And I think a lot of people confuse YC's success with, like, well, if I'm a founder, I should
Yes.
listen to what they say and
Yes.
aspire to get in. But, like,
Yes.
remember, the
Yeah.
model that works for them is not the advice and model that will work for you as a founder because
Yes.
you're, just part of their odds. They're playing the odds game here.
Exactly. That's my entire
Yeah.
point.
Yes.
And it's just you need to like learn the lessons, and like I've ran out of money before. It's fucking brutal. And like I want to create a like you can create a high growth, profitable business, like, but you need to keep the team lean, like
Yeah.
really early. And
And by the
also,
way, like, I know we've disagreed on this in the past. Raising money does not mean spending money. So if you can raise it and build your war chest, like,
yeah,
by
I
all
don't
means do
agree with
that.
that. Yeah.
You don't feel like that's necessarily possible to raise it and not spend it, but if you can,
But have you done that before, Sarah?
I mean, we have money in the bank and we're not spending it. So,
But
like,
have you like raised like $50 million
no,
and
no,
like
we've raised
had
20 million in total. So no.
right? So I think it's a little different. Like if you are like my whole point for all the previous listeners here is like if you get like a turn like you don't like somebody offers you $50 million and you need literally for the next like 24 months, you really only need like 10. Like taking the extra like 40 million is just going to you're going to be thinking about ways that you could spend it in ways that you probably
Right.
shouldn't. And I think that even the most disciplined people, and Andy also agrees with you as well, that it's like, no, you just keep it in the bank account. I think that it puts a mental pressure on
Sure.
yourself and also from the board
Right.
to like,
To
when
spend.
things go wrong, it's like, why aren't you growing faster? Why
Right.
you have these problems? Is like, just hire these people, all this stuff. Like, I've fucking been there.
No,
Like,
no, I know. The expectations from the board really change when you take that amount of money and, like, definitely take more than you need. Give yourself some buffer because things always take longer and are harder, but, like, not that much buffer, not 5x, like, double it,
yeah,
double the amount you're thinking you need.
sure.
But yeah, the expectations totally change and you can't get away with as much in terms of like, "No, we're not doing that because we wanna stay lean,"
Right.
doesn't really become an excuse anymore if you've taken $50 million.
Right. All right. Next topic. You had going direct is the best way
No,
to get
I
rise.
will throw this out to you and,
Yes.
like,
Okay.
kind of so I tweeted this because we have, like, a very, very major announcement coming up in
Okay.
maybe, like, a month and a half,
All right.
um, and I would like people to see it. Like, it's hard to get the attention when, there's so much going on in the world today, and so, 5 years ago, I would have said like, okay, we draft an internal press release, we email out our press targets, we try to get an exclusive on this embargo date. Now I'm wondering, like, everyone talks about going direct. Well, like, how do you
Yeah.
do that? And
Yeah.
I agree, like, press is less valuable when everything is behind a paywall anyway, and, like, I don't even know what the targets would be if I were to go that route. So going direct is appealing, but, like, what does that actually mean? Is that, like, write a LinkedIn post and hope that people will share it? Like, what is going direct? Um, and, like, is it almost too late because I haven't been building up that, like, direct channel? Like, I don't know. I don't know what people do anymore these days. I feel like my press knowledge is, like, now, like, 5 or 10 years behind the times.
Yeah. So I have some experience because I just announced actually on this podcast my new company Cytronic, and so that was
Ooh.
going direct.
Direct.
And so I think that there's few reasons that I did that. For one, I think that it's really, really tough to get any of like if you think of the traditional like TechCrunch or Forbes or whatever articles, I think it's really hard. I think there's just a lot of noise there to even get their attention or anything like that. Also, I think that their readerships are down substantially.
Mhm.
So on Twitter, I think that it's people that look for tech related things there more than probably anywhere else. And then I was thinking about like what different unique channel did I have? And so I chose uh, LinkedIn, and then this podcast. It's like, okay. And then so I had my co-founder on here and
Yeah.
we talked about what happened to our last company and what we're doing now. And and then also posted that on LinkedIn. And it didn't get like when I launched my first company Shyp, like we got so many fucking articles. Like it was insane. Like you would see the spike in traffic, like hundreds of thousands of people in your website. Like I just don't think you have that option
Yeah.
anymore. Like that's just not there.
And there's just so much, like, outrage in the world right now and so many things happening that I feel like it's hard to get any attention for even the most, like, even deep research. Like, I pinged my team, I was like,
Exactly.
"Have you guys seen this? It's, like, mind-blowing," and people were like, "No, hadn't heard of it." It's like,
No. Yeah, exactly. So I think that you need to do whatever you can to increase the amount of people that you possibly can. So like the obviously the channels that I've developed are like we have this podcast that we created. I have like a decent LinkedIn following, I have a decent Twitter following, and then I'm just like, fuck it, like do that. Like my last company that I launched, we did it on Fast Company. Nobody fucking really noticed, and that was,
Yep.
like, 7 years ago, and, like so it's like, wouldn't you rather have people that are, like, more invested, like and I'm in a very privileged position that there's a lot of people that follow my career, and because, like, I'm deep into logistics and, like, they like and I'm sure you
Right.
have the same thing, Sarah, on the, child, front as well. So like going to those people that really like really care what you have to say versus going to like kind of the nobodies that are like, oh, this cool new company here or whatever. I'm like I'd rather go like deeper industry specific people that follow me. And I think honestly to be like that was really my only option. I don't think I could have even got any coverage from any of the press outlets, nor would I think that anybody would have even heard about us.
What about, like, something a little more I mean, definitely, like, I feel like the reason I post so much on LinkedIn is, like, to develop that channel so that when we have things to announce, like, there's an audience there, so I think that's, like, a no-brainer. Posting something on LinkedIn, obviously sharing on this podcast and
Yeah.
Twitter, X, whatever. But, like, what about something more gimmicky also, like an event or, like, shipping people stuff that are influencers, like, the jacket that unlocked at a specific time. Um, is it time to get more creative, or is that just, like, a waste of energy? Like, I've been thinking about,
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
is that is that important? Do we need to get, like, lots of press around this? Like, it's just hard to I know the adage is now, like, "Go direct," it's so important, but, like, what that actually means in reality is kind of confusing.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure about the like swag stuff. I know that was part of He's launch strategy, and if anybody's interested, look at. We went down on a deep dive on this podcast about when he launched Runway. Um, I don't know the answer to that. I think that that's probably pretty expensive,
Right.
unless you have like really targeted people.
Yeah,
But, yeah, I don't know. I think the answer is really, like, individualized and based on what you have. Like, if you are big on hacker news and you post something, that's great. If you're big on Twitter, post on there. Like, I think that the one thing that I know is it's harder to get attention more than it's ever been.
right.
And so I think that using press or even like outreach, like don't count on that at all. I think that what you should do is to build a product that you can like either go direct to customers if you're like a B2B product, or somehow create some sort of viral like consumer loop or something like that. And I know that Nikita just did with this latest company who's supposed to be on this podcast. I'll have to ping him again.
There we go.
Um, but I think it's really really tough. But I'll give you an example of things that just have naturally happened to me. So we're we're in the Bay Area, and we have robots, and I've had a number of people. So my age group, I guess your age group as well. We have kids, and they're getting into like robotics. So I've had a number of people ask like, "Hey, can I come by and like can my kids like see what you guys are actually doing?" So like I actually may turn like maybe like a Sunday afternoon or something like that into like, "Hey, bring your kids into this and they'll be able to play with a bunch of like not play, then they'll show them the robots, but like we'll have some like cool robotic stuff or something like that that they could see that can be a little different, that could be either for like investors, potential investors, or just friends and family and something like that. I don't know. That's
Yeah, I mean,
something that
that's
I'm
the kind of
thinking
stuff I'm
of.
talking about. I feel like you have to be more creative in this, like, day
Yes.
and age, and it's not just, like, go direct in the sense of, like, you know, post it yourself, but, like, go directly creative in terms of how you build buzz, and I feel like that's a really cool concept of, like,
Yeah.
have your targets of, like, who you're trying to get this news to. It's not everyone in the world. In your case, it's probably, like, more the investor types
Yes.
if you're early on, and so, like, yeah, have an event for investors and their children to come see, a demo, and,
Right.
like, that could get your information to the right people, and for us, like, if that's, parents and providers, like, then those are the people we're trying to target, not, like, necessarily the tech audience, and so, like, we don't need to worry about hacker news picking up our thing or Fast Company writing about it
Right.
necessarily. So, yeah, like, it's just that stuff can also just be time consuming and challenging, but I think this kinda, like, go direct adage that's been thrown around is just, like, not that helpful 'cause it doesn't really instruct you on what to do. It's like, yeah, we
But
know that traditional media doesn't work anymore, but like, what does go direct even mean?
but also did like think of, I don't know, like, think of some of even the vintage, like, 2010 companies did, like, getting a lot of press for them, especially in, like, the B2B space. Did it really fucking matter? No. Like, did anybody know what, like, Databricks was? Did they need to go and build that?
I
Like,
mean, even in the consumer space, I remember there was this like social networking for moms app called Peanut that was everywhere, like every morning show, every article, like all over the place when we were first starting out. So this must have been like 2016 or so. And like these guys were just all over the press. I don't know what happened to them. Like I think they're probably dead. Maybe they still exist.
yeah,
But like it was like for 2 years, all you everywhere you looked, you heard about this like Tinder for moms called Peanut.
yeah,
And what good did that do for them? I've never heard of them again.
yeah. I will tell you one thing that I'm going to try to do this year that, I don't know, maybe this is just like, uh, with the election and just like what social media has become. I'm gonna be a little bit more of a troll on Twitter. And, because I see,
Like,
and
give me an example. What does that mean?
example would be, my last company, uh, there was a bunch of people, as we were shutting the company down, and we had comms to all of our customers, and there was a few of our competitors that were trying to take advantage of that, and they were trying to, like, um, just say shitty things, online about us when they had no idea what the fuck was going on. And so, after I posted the, podcast link with my co-founder, Scott, I literally added them to the Twitter to be like, you guys, like, the worst thing ever is like you trashing a startup that's going down that you have no fucking idea, and you're trying to like take the their customers or whatever. Like, it's not a good look for you. And also, like, if you're a startup, you know how fucking hard this stuff is. So like, I just started naming people out. And so like, that's a little like trolly. I actually, after this call, have a call with one of those people that should be very interesting. He's a leader of another really big company in our space. And I don't know. I think that for better or for worse, and I don't know exactly how this is, and you could disagree with me. And I know a lot of people, and I know my wife hates it when I tell her I do this. She's like, don't say this, and like, don't cause shit. I'm like, no, I'm going to call people on their shit.
Well, I think
And
what people appreciate now on X is just authenticity. So I don't think trolling for like the sake of trolling is a good idea or like
But
helpful.
I see trolling to be like how Nikita does it, right?
Well, I
Like, do
think
you
that's like
think?
authenticity. I don't think he
Yeah,
like picks on people just to pick on people. I think he
but he says provoking things that he knows,
right,
like, are gonna get people riled up, and they may it's not like, "Hey, I'm building this cool thing," but, like, he will say things that, like, will just
right,
get people riled up and enough, and it just, like, creates more of an audience for himself,
right.
which I want to try to kind of embody a little bit this year.
Yeah, but I think it can be like positive and negative things to like I don't think he just says like, "You suck, you suck, you suck." He talks about
I
what he's
agree.
doing that's so impressive, and he's authentic about it and a little bit, like, provocative about why he's so awesome, and so, like
Provocative is a great term.
yeah,
I
like, I
think
think that's good, and people, enjoy reading his stuff because of that. But yeah, like I try to shy away from like, punching down where it's just
Yeah, you
not
shouldn't punch
needed.
down.
I used to, I think, do more of that. And now I've realized, like, as I've gotten more well known and established, like, there's just no need to punch down. But I think being authentic and like if people are being ridiculous, like calling them out when needed, especially people that are have some kind of following and audience when they say things that are just harmful. I try to call it out, but
Yeah.
I think authenticity goes a long way. I think people like that on all the platforms, especially in the age of AI when anyone can post anything. Being authentic is still challenging and means there's a real person behind it.
Right. Right. So I was
So yes,
trying,
I would vote for that. I would just say like, you know, do it where it's helping your cause.
but sometimes like okay, so here's a Nikita tweet. He says, maybe this is not the best one. I just pulled up because this has got like 500,000 views on it. He says, reminder, US tech companies want your data so they can get rich. Nation states want your data to kill you. Like, it's not like going towards himself. He's just like putting that out to get like responses back. And I guess I'm not doing that. I'm going to stick in my own lane, I guess, a little bit, but I'm going to like channel more of that energy just to like stir up a little more controversy.
Well, this is maybe is a good example. He tweeted, "The single most important thing to growing an audience online is having an ability to consistently get mentally ill people to post angry comments on your content."
Yes, exactly.
That is that is how these platforms work. You thrive on engagement, and so if you can get people to post angry comments, you get a lot of engagement.
Yeah. So I'm gonna for this year, and I'm definitely gonna be like in, especially even in the comments section of LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever. I'm gonna be a little more aggressive than I have been before. And I don't know. I just feel I don't know why. I just feel like it's kind of like the maybe it's me getting older. I don't know. I just turned 40 this year,
Oh,
so
wait, so you are older than me. You're 40
yeah.
already? Okay, so yeah, I'm not 40 until the 17th,
Uh,
so I'm still young.
yes, you are still young. Well, why don't we end it on that? Young Sarah, not 40 yet. Go Eagles,
Go
go.
birds, go birds.
Thanks everybody for listening. We'll catch you next time. Bye.